So in honor of the 20-year anniversary of 9/11, the firemen from Tahlequah Fire Department built this beautiful monument and reminder to never forget. I wanted to get some shots, and I was going to make a video about it, but the fire chief already made a really good video. So I'm just going to share Casey Baker's video here. I'll put links to their Facebook page right here and in the description. And I recommend that you follow the fire department so that you can follow the fire department. Chief Casey Baker does weekly updates, and then they post pictures from their most recent alarms. Check out this video from Fire Chief Casey Baker.
Good afternoon, Tahlequah. Fire Chief Casey Baker. I want to talk to you a little bit about today is something that's very near and dear to us. It's coming up on the 20-year anniversary of 9/11, and I just kind of want to maybe just kind of talk about it a little bit and kind of show some stuff that we've done down here at the fire station. But on that day 20 years ago, there was 2,977 people lost their lives in the Twin Towers. Out of those victims, 343 were New York City firefighters. They went to work that day thinking nothing, just going to be a normal day, and not knowing it was going to be their last. We'll never know how many lives that were saved that day because of their heroic efforts. Since then, over 200 firefighters have lost their lives dealing with the toxic work site of the World Trade Center as they developed cancer and other things that they succumbed to. There's a lot of firefighters down here that got in the fire service because of that day, and I mean, I think everybody, even to this day, knows where they were when that happened. So there's a little verse that I always like to read when I talk about 9/11, is there's no greater love than to lay down one's life for one's friends, and that's John 15:13. And one of the things that was always passed on is, from the firefighters from New York, was, we'll never forget. Never forget. That's their saying. So let us never forget 9/11 and what happened that day, and all the first responders that lost their lives. So, having said that, the firefighters down here, we decided, since it was coming up on a 20-year anniversary, they wanted to do something special, not only for the fire department, for the citizens of Tahlequah. So what they done is they built a flower bed, strictly basically off donations. But these guys spent several days working on this, and on their own time, sometimes while they was on duty, and they just wanted to make it something special for Tahlequah. And hopefully when you guys drive by and see it, you'll appreciate it like we do. And if you'll come with me, we'll go out and look at it, and I'll kind of show you what it's about. So this is the memorial flower bed. Like I said, the rock that we basically built the flower bed out of it was donated. As you can see, we actually had to dig down kind of a footing. The lighting for the flag, a lot of that stuff was done by our city maintenance crew. Mark Manship and his crew come out and done a lot of that work for us, and we appreciate that. Just want you, hopefully the city and all the citizens enjoy it as much as we do, and just always remember 9/11. Gentlemen, thank you very much for doing that. That means a lot to us. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you guys. I was living in New York City, in Queens, on 9/11, and it was an RDO, regular day off. And I was told to, at the academy, if something happens and it's an MCI, which consists of 100 patients or more, your day off is canceled, you put on the uniform of the day, and you respond to the closest battalion. I did that, I responded, and it was pretty significant. Where we set up was downtown Manhattan, Chelsea Piers, and we did not have any patients for the first 13 hours. And finally, an ambulance came up, 2 ambulances came up and said, if you guys want to do what you were hired to do, hop on an ambulance. Well, we packed those ambulances and we went to ground zero. We could only drive in so far. We walked the rest of the way. Saw guys in level A suits, and of course we have our duty shirts on, polos, that's all we have. My battalion was in the Bronx, so I couldn't get gear. And they didn't have any to fit me. I'm not the smallest guy. So I went to the Bronx, from the Bronx to Manhattan, and from Manhattan down to Chelsea Piers and into Chelsea Piers after 13 hours to ground zero, where we got our hands dirty. We continued that operation for the next 7 months, and you don't go every day. They don't allow you to go more than 16 hours a day. They will call your number and send you home. After 7 months, I would just report to my battalion in the Bronx, and it would just pop up sitting in a outside in my ambulance, One World Trade. So I knew where I was going and what I was doing, and I just did it. Everybody just did it. You do what you have to do what you're supposed to do, and it was something I'll never forget. There's guys now who, like I said, responded in a polo shirt that they don't have good health because they didn't have their gear, because the standing order is to report to the closest battalion. So we went and we did what we had to do, regardless of what the situation was. And today, some of those guys aren't with us anymore. Years down the line, I just went to my 20th World Trade Center exam in Tulsa, where I got a chest X-ray and got some good news.
So Ralph, what I want to instill in these guys is the significance of that day, you know, of how many firefighters were lost and how many are continuing to die from, you know, breathing all the toxins and everything from that day. And so we all got together and we built this flower bed, and we wanted to put, you know, some kind of memorial plaque in there to signify 9/11. So I appreciate you coming down and joining with us and celebrating this flower bed with us. And hopefully we can continue that on to the young, so they'll never forget.
I appreciate that, and I'm actually honored to even be asked to come down here to do it. But I think it's part of the oath that I took on 9/11 to never forget, and this is a really good way for folks not to forget. When I first got to Tahlequah, it was on the ambulance, and I was just supposed to do a ride along. Well, once EMS gets in your blood, once emergency work gets in your blood, kind of hard to walk away from. Wind up working for Tahlequah City EMS. Then moved to the floor. But while I was working EMS, I worked with these guys the whole time. Some of the guys that I did EMS with, Dave Carroll, worked here. We responded to the river in multiple calls all together. It's just like New York, but it's a bunch of guys who do selfless work. And it's good to still have those ties. I don't do EMS anymore. I strictly do nursing, but I will support anything that has to do with fire or EMS or nursing.
I always tell people, you know, it's a brotherhood and sisterhood, you know, and it doesn't matter where you're from, where you go. You know, firefighters are always, first responders, you're always close to them.
Yes.
And I really do appreciate your service that day, and
Thank
we
you,
will
sir.
never forget.
Thank you, sir.